So today I want to talk about arm reach. Arm reach is a critical tool in tight line nymphing for the same reason that we use longer rods. That extra reach allows us to suspend that line off the water surface and track that fly in a natural dead drift. The farther your reach, the longer dead drift and the better you can track that fly. But reaching too much isn't always good. There are some drawbacks, so I want to talk about that. Okay, number one, reaching too much will tire out your shoulder. So reach only when you have to. Try to wade closer to your targets so that you don't have to reach so far. For longer dead drifts, you can extend your arm out in the beginning of the dead drift, and as the fly drifts closer to you, you can bring your arm in, giving it a rest, and then as the fly drifts downstream of you, you can extend your arm out and extend your dead drift. Basically, avoid extending your arm too much. An extended arm shouldn't be your default position. My default position is probably right about here with my rod at about 45 degrees and my elbow bent. Sometimes when my shoulder's really tired, I'll actually rest it on my pack here. So I'm saving my arm for when I really need that reach. Also, reaching too high compromises your hook sets. If a fish strikes, I just don't have that backwards travel in my shoulder to properly set on that fish. Instead, I prefer to have the rod in front of me and my elbow slightly bent, so I just have more travel to give a proper set. Also, the important thing to understand is that the further out you cast, the higher your rod tip has to be in order to elevate that line off the water surface. I'll show you what I mean. So if you're only fishing short, like just outside of your rod tip, you don't have to keep your rod tip very high in order to keep the line off the water. But watch what happens if I cast a little further out. So if I keep my rod tip low, I've got half of my line floating on top of the water, and that's going to create drag. So I don't want to do that. I'll do the same cast, but I'll raise my rod tip, and now I've got all the line off the water. In the same token, watch what happens if I do a 40-foot cast. So in order to keep the line off the water, I really have to elevate that rod high. So the farther you cast, the higher your rod tip has to be to keep that line off the water. But sometimes you don't always want to keep it off the water. You want to go ahead and float some of the line, and you want to induce a little bit of drag. Say for instance, if I want to swing this fly through that run, then I want a little bit of drag. And I want that water to kind of pull my fly along. But if I'm dead drifting it, then of course I'm going to want to keep my rod tip high. So with regards to gear, there are a couple things you can do to maximize your reach. One is a longer rod, like we mentioned before. But remember that the longer your rod is, the heavier it's going to be, and it may not be as sensitive. So you want a lighter rod so you can extend your arm out when you really need to for longer periods of time. I prefer rods around between 9/6 and 10/6. As far as the reel, try to get as light of a reel as you can. Most of your rod and combo weight is in the reel. A rod might weigh 3 ounces, but a reel could weigh 7 to 8 ounces. So the lighter the reel, the better arm control you have and reach. So there's no question, reach is a superpower of tight line nymphing. It's what allows you to elevate that line and stay tight to your fly and track that line down for a long natural dead drift. So use arm reach, but use it smart and use it sparingly, and it'll really help your dead drift and catch more fish.